Oh, John, I told Corey earlier, but closed yesterday.
Oh, you actually did it this weekend?
I did.
Nice.
I did.
That's big. What did you end up doing?
It's at Liberty Station.
Fuck, I don't know where that is.
Point Loma. Yeah, Point Loma.
Yeah, that's a area.
It is. All right, shall we?
No.
Should we do like some vocal exercises or like jumping jacks or something to wake up and get our minds ready?
Could all just take 15 early morning beat off and then come back.
All right, we'll do that at 8 o'clock.
Okay. All right, I'm ready. Let's do
You
this.
like
Corey.
just sat down.
I'm dialed. I'm actually so dialed.
Hey, this is
I
Okay,
class rules.
quite there yet. So, hello, everybody. My name is Corey Berner. I will be teaching your IFR Ground class. I want to start off with an icebreaker. So we are all going to introduce ourselves. Say why we got into the aviation world, where we're from, one of our favorite hobbies, and something interesting or something bragging, like bragging rights, like, oh yeah, like I've done this in my life, what have you done type thing. So name, where you're from, why aviation, hobby, and then bragging rights.
make John go first.
I
Alright.
agree.
Hello, class. My name is Jonathan Lau. You can call me John. Over than
Where are you from?
I'm from the beautiful island of Kauai. Hobbies.
Why aviation?
Wait, what?
Why aviation?
Oh, why aviation? Aviation, I just absolutely love taking a bunch of notes and learning a bunch of new things every single day. Really gets me ticking. So that's why I chose it.
So what you're saying is you want to be a student pilot forever?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hobby,
Hobby.
yeah. God.
Like 2 brain cells firing.
I like to go to the gym.
Sure.
I mean, up here, I like to go to the gym. Back home, I have a lot of different hobbies.
Well, yeah, say those. What do you like to do?
I like to hike. I like to surf. I like to go camping. Those are all like
You can do
that's
all
probably
of
my
those in
top
California.
three. Yeah, but it's just not the same. It's like far from it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
It's.
I get that.
I mean, I still go hiking and I want to go camping up here, but the surfing part, that's a different story. And then,
Something really interesting.
when I was in 8th grade, I was top 5% in Fortnite solos. That was like peak years of Fortnite too, and I was top 5% in the entire world.
Dude,
I share a room with him.
I haven't
Top
played a
five.
month, but you can get clapped, dude. I was OG of Fortnite.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I was
season
telling him,
2. Let's
I used to play it when I was in high school when it just came out, and I was a god.
Yeah, I was like prime Fortnite. Yeah, I was like
Sucked
7th,
now.
8th grade. He was like, damn, it's like a junior.
Like it out.
Yeah, he's like, no, he's saying like, oh yeah, 7th grade prime Fortnite. I'm like, do you make me feel so ancient, dude?
I could outbuild you.
Top 5.
Put
No,
it out, yeah.
I do.
Okay. Well, I don't have a system anymore, but I'll play on Game Boy and I'll still whoop you. Anyway, alright, let's go counterclockwise.
Either way, she's good.
Well,
My name's Jack Shalabian. I'm what's the order we're doing again?
Where are you from?
We're sharing them.
Where are you from?
From Thousand Oaks,
Aviation,
California.
why?
Chose aviation, taken after my uncle, my grandpa, their aviation careers. And I just love it. My hobbies, like surfing, camping, same shit he likes. Yeah, just being active, as much as they can.
Cool. Something super interesting, rare.
Make a mean crock pot meal.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
There you
Like a
go.
mean
I
pot
might get
roast.
to experience
Like a
that.
mean
That would be
pot
good.
roast.
I think we all might get to experience that when you
Corey's coming over.
Yeah,
coming over.
I brought my mini crock pot, it'd be perfect.
Perfect.
Corey's coming over.
Cool. Heck yeah.
I'm Ethan Manley. I'm currently from Vista, though I've traveled most of my life, so it's hard to say one place specifically.
Very nice.
I guess one thing I could brag about is I'm almost able to say I've been to every state in the US.
Damn.
That's pretty impressive.
That is.
Damn.
Honestly.
I'm only missing Alaska.
Damn.
Well, that's the one thing I got anyway. It's like one of the only places I've been.
It's on the to-do list.
Cool,
It's
dude.
been on the to-do list for the
Jeez.
past 4 years.
So soon then.
Eventually. Okay, maybe I'll fly there. Maybe that'll be the thing.
That would be a long flight,
Do a
Iceland.
fat cross country.
That would be a really long flight.
Make sure I'm with you so I can get those hours too.
Yeah, we gotta switch off. Back to you.
Okay, why aviation and then hobby?
Why aviation? Mostly because that Discovery flight was a little too addicting.
Really?
And then my biggest hobby I have right now, other than aviation, is Pokemon TCG. So, I've been getting Corey into it.
Wait, what is it?
Pokemon.
The TCG.
Is that the one you can open on your phone?
No, that's Pokemon Go. We don't do that. We're collectors. We're
What's the TCG?
trading card
Just
game.
bend it in.
Hold up, can I go to my car?
What do you have? Might be interested. Yeah, America, right? Rough estimate of America. I've been to this many states, which takes up pretty much most of the country, but that's like.
I didn't know Florida was bigger than
That's only, actually, I've been a few places over here,
Mhm.
but it's only like 50% of the states.
Mhm.
There's so many small
Yeah.
ones over here, so. Feels like I've been everywhere, but
I think a lot of like West, Midwest.
How do you even have the money for a Pokemon card now?
I
They're
don't.
so expensive.
I just pulled a $100 card yesterday though.
Really?
Wait, yeah, let me see. Sorry, we're
It's like
taking
a
a,
new form of gambling.
I got a few this
we're taking a break.
These are all from like when I was a kid. Or like
We're
young.
taking a quick break.
But these are all like my good ones.
Oh, yes, from when you were a kid.
That one's new. I got that my senior year. I won a pack at my senior graduation thing, and I pulled that one pack.
are you?
20.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I just turned 20.
I'm 23.
25.
Yeah, sweet.
It's okay, Corey.
It's like pushing.
I already signed you up for the retirement.
Yeah.
29.
I didn't know you played this. I just
Almost
keep these in my
all
car because I like
Wait,
to show my.
it's
I
fine.
wanted to show my
I
girl.
love working with you, Ollie. It's
You what?
what?
You just hit.
Not bad, yeah.
Let me see.
You have a lot of XY era stuff.
I don't know what that is.
Do you need it?
Is it that's probably like the era I like bought a lot of packs.
Oh,
I was a Yu-Gi-Oh.
everything but these 2 cards are from XY era.
Corey,
Yeah,
did
that would make
did
sense.
you ever have Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
I did. I had
These were my
like,
favorite right here.
a bunch, and
Oh,
my
yeah.
mom
These two are super
Got
sick.
rid of
This
them.
one's awesome.
Do you even know the
because
value of those?
I wanted to
ones
start
are sick.
collecting.
No.
Which is why then I got into
You should look it
Pokemon.
up.
But
Are these expensive?
At this point, yeah.
I heard I know this one's pretty expensive because it was gold. What? It was gold. I looked it up. I thought that was my rarest one. What would you-
This one,
Which would you say?
this one, and this one.
You think these four?
Those 4, maybe in this one. Look at the prices of these.
Not the Tyranitar. That
You
used to
just
be my
scan it,
favorite.
I'll tell you about it. That's so cool.
pretty much.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's like $13 right there.
Nice.
Look at this.
I was looking at how much longer you can like afford to eat.
22.
So when do I have to start pawning?
22.
They're only like worth more money if you grade them, yeah.
Yeah, but that era is getting quite old now.
Would be
I'm
great.
gonna just hold on to this then. It'll come out.
Oh, I got
You
one.
can hold on to it, or because right now there's a resurgence of Pokemon because of
10. Yeah, you got a few like $10, $20 cards.
It's not bad.
All right, cool. Let's move on now. I appreciate you showing me those.
I had to. You got me all giddy.
Make sure to put those in your car because I get extra violent today.
Or just I'm
And
hiding.
catch you walking through the parking lot with those.
Yeah.
All right, my name is Corey Berner. Originally born in Chicago, grew up in Las Vegas. Chose aviation because honestly, I was getting out of the military and didn't know what to do. And that's a scary experience. And my uncle, who's a captain for Hawaiian Airlines, is like, do aviation and love it. Hobbies, back when I was younger, I liked working out. I don't really have the time or mental capacity for that now. So I guess my 2 hobbies I'm currently into are I try to get outdoors, three hobby, I guess, try to get outdoors, building and shooting guns, and now Pokemon,
Ooh,
so,
nice.
yeah. One of mine is in the shop right now, it's like
What do you have?
I built the AR, it's like a $5,000 build, but it's getting Cerakoted right now, so.
I have an absurd amount of knowledge of guns. I have a bunch of knowledge.
So Pokemon guns,
Nice.
and something interesting about me, I lived in Japan for about a year,
Okay, that's sick.
so,
Yeah,
yeah, I had a good experience there, and,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Did they shame
Was that when you were in
because
the
of your
military?
tattoos? Is that like a real thing?
No, there would be, I mean, occasionally on the train, I would be sitting down when it wasn't busy, and then it got busy and like nobody would sit right next to me. But I've also had like old ladies like with their hunchbacks pushing their cart, stop and just start like pointing and like giving thumbs up, so I've had
That's awesome.
both experiences.
Cause I heard you.
Thing you'll learn about when you go to Japan is that they're scared from what is it, Gaijin?
Gaijin, yeah,
Yeah,
foreigners,
Oh, they don't like foreigners.
they're just nervous,
Mm-hmm.
Were you, Marines?
maybe.
Maybe. Okinawa?
Oh, also I got you something
You did?
from Japan
Oh.
last night.
Oh.
In person too. So, not on the internet, in person, I have my connects.
Uh-huh. I know your girlfriend's over there right now, so.
I'm gonna keep it serious, I have my connects, but yeah,
Bro, try to act all mysterious.
I got you something, so when she gets back and I see her, I have something for you.
Accusing connections.
Alright, let's get started because we're
Okay.
20 minutes in, but good introductions.
Nice first day, guys.
A little overview. So this is IFR 5-week course. We'll have 5 weeks to review afterwards. Mondays, we're supposed to do an overview of the week's agenda and the home study to be completed. Every day though, we're gonna be talking about the day's agenda. Possibly review the previous day's subject. So if there's anything that you guys struggle with, anything we didn't get to, or anything that is important enough to bless you,
Thank you.
to reiterate, we will go over that. From weeks 2 and on, we're gonna do an emergency situation hot seat. So we're gonna try to introduce different emergency situations, so like what ifs. I would say that's one of the most important things in aviation is to know what to do if, the what if scenarios. Because truly you'll never know how you're gonna respond until it happens. So if we can mentally train for it now, that'll really benefit us in the case of an actual emergency. So today, day 1, briefly go over class expectations, study habits and materials, sling safety procedures and practices, sensory systems, spatial disorientation, which is the reason why we instrument fly, and then instrument flying techniques. Tomorrow will be flight instruments, HSI magnetic compass. Wednesday, instrument failures, lost comms, ATC procedures. Lost comms is gonna be a big one on check rides, especially if you go with certain DPEs.
Oh, it's in the first week.
Yeah. Day 4, IFR risks and hazards, single pilot resource management and risk management, so pretty general information there. Week 5 will be a week review, group oral quiz, and then a week 1 quiz. So the difference between these two is that week 1 quiz will be a QR code that I'll put up on the board. It's made by Sling. You'll scan that, each go through it individually, work together if you want. And then the group oral quiz is going to be just me asking questions, pretty much according with the ACS. I know you did your training elsewhere. So bear with me when I assume that I don't want to assume that you have received the highest level of training, but I don't want to assume that you've received the lowest. So I'm just going to assume that
Fair.
you don't know anything with something. So
Fair.
are you familiar with the ACS? Okay, perfect. Cause you believe it or not, you'll have people come from different schools and they've never heard of the PAVE checklist, you know, and they have their private pilot, and it's pretty crazy, but.
I'm gonna be gone on day 5.
On when?
Day 5.
Friday, okay,
I have my like continuance in my checker.
okay, yeah, that's more important, so.
Yeah.
Cool, so that's week 1. But basically our phase objectives, human factors, flight instrument, interpretation of scan, failures and pilot resources. Because you guys are both here for a second time, essentially. Sorry, but Chad takes priority.
I've never gone to one.
I understand.
Ever?
No.
Oh, okay, then,
Yeah, it's my first.
sorry,
I don't
they
know.
take priority.
I don't really know anything about
Fine.
instrument. Not gonna lie.
But, what I mean by that is he is flying the sling for the first time. He doesn't know our little diagram drawings for the fuel system and electrical system, stuff like that. So I'm gonna really go into that, when we have free time.
Mhm.
But it'll be a good review for you guys too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also bear with me, my allergies have been really bad, so if I sound nasally and
Mine are awful, dude.
it's because, yeah, it's been really screwing me, but. All right, let's get into it. Week 1, day 1. So these are going to be the class rules of what's expected of you by sling. So you're expected to maintain at least 90% attendance rate. Excused absences will not count against you. So I don't know how many classes 90% is, have to do the math, but 5 days a week for 5 weeks,
25 classes.
25, so 90%, do the math, that's how many you need to be here. But if you do let me know ahead of time that you will not be here, you all can take my number if you don't have it. I know Ethan has it. I don't know
I need it.
if you two have it, but
We have, yeah.
if you give me a good reason, I'm not gonna like hold it against you, you know, like if you have a doctor's appointment, I get that. If you have family emergency, I get that. If you're not feeling well, I get that. With that being said, though, if it's something like you don't feel well, or you didn't get enough sleep last night, or you feel a cold coming, or whatever it may be, you don't come here, but then you show up to your flight later, that's like when it's gonna kind of like be a problem, you know? Like, okay, so you can go fly, but you can't come and do the ground knowledge portion. And that's been an issue, so if you're not gonna be here, I assume, unless it's like a doctor's appointment or something, you know, in this specific time block, I assume that you won't be here for your flight either.
So so next month I'm taking like 2 days. I'm going on a quick vacation. So can I just do a Zoom when I'm gone, like on the days I'm
Yeah.
gone?
Yeah, yeah,
There's
you could
only
do
2
Zoom.
days, you could probably just like.
I'd rather be a part of it.
Alright.
Yeah, you could do Zoom. I think there might be a QR code at the front, or if you go onto the Sling Pilot Academy Student Hub online.
I can help you with the Discord after class.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have
Discord.
Discord on my phone now. It's just
Are you in the group though?
yes.
Okay, so there should be like a time off thing in there.
Yeah,
Um,
I know how to get like the time off stuff. I just like can I Zoom with you or
You
like
can,
something
you don't
like
have to be here if it's 2 days and you plan on being here every other day, but if you want to Zoom, you can.
90% is
I'd like
23
to-
25 classes. so
23,
23 of the 25.
Oh
cool.
my god.
So with that being said, 80% of it must be in person, so Zoom is only to be used when you're sick or out of town. Or, you know, if you have a doctor's appointment, I don't expect you to be on Zoom. But just keep in mind, they do keep track of this. I take attendance every day, because I'm required. And when it comes time for getting hired here at the very end, they do see, okay, we see that you only attended half of the instrument class. What's up with that? So it will play a role. Show up at least 5 minutes early to ground. 6:55. The same is expected of me. With that being said, the mornings, especially when I work late, are sometimes really hard to get up. So I'm not gonna be an asshole if you guys show up a little late, a day or two. Because most likely, that could happen to me as well. Just shoot me a text, let me know, and then likewise, if I'm running a little behind, I'll send one of you guys a text to relay to the class. So keeping up and staying ahead with King's School Home Study Course. Raise your hand if you have it.
Have it?
Yeah. Raise your hand if you've completed it.
John.
Yeah. So the goal, raise your hand if you've done at least a little bit of it. Okay. Get that done. For your written exam, you're gonna use Shepherd Air. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, he actually got that. I need to.
Okay.
I still need to get that.
King's School first, build the base knowledge, Shepherd Air, take the written exam. That's my recommendation. King's School, stay ahead or up the pace with what we're doing now. If you're lagging behind and you're hearing something for the first time, that's not how it should be. You should be able to come in and be like, okay, I know what the spatial disorientations are. I know what the primary and secondary instrument flying gauges are, like things like that. You should know before you come in. Class participation on Zoom or in person, taking notes, asking questions. So like talk. Like I don't want you just to sit here in silence. I know John, you won't have a problem with that.
Yeah, you're right.
But my PPL class, they were very, very quiet, especially Monday through Wednesday. Silent. I would ask a question. Any questions? Nothing. Anybody, like, you guys understand that? No hands. You guys not understand that? No hands. And then Thursday and Friday, they were a little more talkative. And then in the end, they started to open up and they got me a end of class gift. So, keep that in mind, but it was of $100 value. So, keep that in mind.
Did you assume I have money?
$5.
Hey, if you're getting engaged,
Hey, I bought that ring 8 months ago when I had steady income.
now you're poor. I get that.
I
get
am
that.
poor now.
Phones, keep it to a minimum. If you want to look something up of, a question I asked, or if you need to take a phone call or have an important text, feel free to do it. But, would you guys want to see me like this for the whole 2 hours just talking to you guys? No. And as a public speaker, I don't want to see the same. iPads are a little different. I understand it's our aviation tool, but cell phones, if I hear TikTok video, it's game over.
Only in the bath.
I should do like what they did in high school, or if your phone goes off, you have to read the text out loud.
That's a brutal one. Hey, Daddy, I
might
miss
get
you.
banned. Be a little bad. Depends who texts me.
Yes. Texting or use of all those text you guys, like the craziest stuff, and then your phone goes off and you have to read it. Texting or use of any social media is not allowed. Okay, course information. So you all attended orientation. You know that this course is part of the academy program. One thing that club students don't get, and this is one of the many benefits here. This will get at the end of this course, it'll give you 50 hours of training with a hand-picked ground instructor. I was handpicked, who has the ground knowledge, hopefully expected of professional pilots. Content of this course goes with the regulations and 14 CFR. So at the end, you'll get an endorsement that you will bring with you to your truck ride saying, I've received X amount of time ground training. If you were to pay for this course out of pocket, it'd be like $1,500. Pretty crazy.
Is this how we get the endorsement for the written exam? Or is that through
No,
like our?
You just get an endorsement from your instructor.
yeah.
Okay.
Once you like pass 3 practice tests at 90 or above.
Alright.
So you're required to be here. But does that mean that you have to be completely focused and take in all the information?
Yes.
No, that's up to you. If you don't wanna pay attention, you don't wanna learn. I mean, to be blunt, I want the best and I want you guys to succeed, but in the end, if you wanna waste your time. I don't give a shit. Waste your time, but it'll come back to you at the end, so. I highly encourage to really soak it all in. More questions you ask, more notes you take, the better you'll do. I had a notebook for every license or rating. PPL was this big, instrument was this big. I wrote everything down. I reference back to it if I don't know something or I forget something. Going back to this last slide though, more questions you ask. I'm not an expert. Even airline pilots don't know everything. You're expected to know a lot. With that being said, there might be things that you ask and I don't know. And I'll say, I don't know it. But I'll either get an answer for us or we'll figure it out together. Continuing off of that, it is 7 AM. I'm tired. So if I do say anything that is completely off, I say it ass backwards, let me know, call me out on it. Cause at this point, I might just be rambling because it's a little early, so let me know if there's anything I say that's like, you catch, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm tired, let me fix that. So don't be afraid to call me out.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I don't know.
You got Johnson front and center. I think he's not shy though.
Oh, he's
Say
not.
This is a little too close. This green light. Screen's a
Um,
little big these days.
I know.
It's like, hold.
Well, that's your.
I think I'm gonna scoot back. So.
no, somebody has to sit in the front. So we're all supposed to know and understand the operating procedures. This will be found for flight. It'll be in the Sling Pilot Academy documents, and I think like safety or like operating procedures. There's a document that has like all the rules. That's fair game on face check. So make sure you look at that. Go through all the documents. There's a lot of good information in the Sling Pilot Academy binder within ForeFlight. For those of you, I think 1 and 2 that are part 141. Even for 61, there's going to be face check documents. Do not ask your instructor over and over, what do I need to know for the face check? What do I need to know for the check ride? Go into ForeFlight, Sling Pilot Academy, face check documents. It's going to tell you everything you need to have prepared, all the ground knowledge, and what's going to happen on the flight. Both 61 and 141. So
Are they different?
yes,
Okay.
The
so
requirements are different.
For
And-
141, by the way, Ross referenced both of the face check documents.
Yeah.
For like the holds and R's, the second face check, it will say like you prepare a flight plan. You will not have to prepare a flight plan. Just confirm with the CFI
Oh,
you're
it's the
doing
same
face
for
check
you.
with.
Really?
yeah, you'll have to do that.
And then for the first one, there's not even gonna be a ground, so
Yeah. Well,
it'll be fast for you.
Yeah, these are ForeFlight's document tabs, Sling Pilot Academy. Student responsibilities and path to CFI. Noise abatement procedures, procedures for incidents and or accidents, safety management system. Student and instructor roles, Sling Pilot Academy, P&P, which I really don't know what P&P means, and I didn't know this with the PPL class.
You need propeller.
Now,
Power.
now it has to do with something with like the SOPs, so. Not sure. Mentor program, I'm not gonna go much into this. You were here at orientation,
Mhm.
mentor program, something to take advantage of. You had other students in here, highly encouraging it. Same goes for both of you. If you're struggling, you 100% need to do the mentor program. Even if you are ahead and not struggling, you 100% should use the mentor program. It'll only benefit you, so. And then once you become a mentor, that'll be a requirement for getting hired here. You have to have some mentor hours, so. I had 103 just saying, but. I try to beat that. And then right here is the overview of the Cessna sort of King School at-home study program. The PowerPoints, I believe, are pretty targeted towards following this, maybe a little bit out of order, but if you keep up ahead with your at-home study course, it should align with what we're doing in class that day or that week. So. Phase checks, so. Generally speaking, this is part 61. Your first phase check is gonna be the holds, arcs, and departures. The goal is to have that done about week 4. It's an hour ground, 2-hour flight. Approaches phase check, the goal is week 6, hour ground, 2-hour flight. Final, 2-hour ground, 2-hour flight. And then check ride comes after that. Part 141, you're gonna have one more phase check. That's gonna be before the holds and arcs phase check. It's gonna be like improving control or increasing proficiency. You've already done that, obviously, but that'll be what you do. So you'll have 4 if you're doing part 141.
Okay.
It used to be that you could do every phase check as part 141 on the sim up until like, I think final phase check. They changed that now, so you'll have to do every phase check in a plane. So I am pretty familiar with part 141 because I'm so lucky and had a bunch of 141 students.
Look at me.
So I will be sort of guiding Izzy through that because she's a newer instructor, but I think you'll be your first part 141. The training itself doesn't change, just the way you
Kind of the structure of
go
it.
through it. The structure is
Okay.
very different and very strict.
Okay.
Reason why it's strict is because the goal is that our school gets certified. You're gonna hate this, and you guys too, because it doesn't apply to you right now, but the goal is when you get your 141 graduation certificate, you are also issued an instrument rating. No check ride. So that's where the school is trying to get at with their 141 program.
You don't even need to take a check ride.
Nope, you'll be instrument rated after 141. I don't know how that works, but that's what I was told from.
So that's once
That's pretty
the
crazy.
school gets like accredited as.
Yeah, there has to be, I mean, it's already accredited as a 141 school, but there has to be a certain, like. The FAA will come, I think yearly or like bi-year or I don't know, how every half year, and they'll do like a check and see like. Every lesson has to be logged a certain way,
Mhm.
and if it's not, then we don't get that like. That accreditation, I don't know.
Has higher ups said anything about when that'll happen?
I don't know.
Like
It'd be nice,
5
but
years.
It would be nice. That'd be what? Less $1,000 saved for us?
Probably more like 1,500.
Yeah, no.
Okay, any questions thus far about this?
Pretty good.
Huh?
Pretty good.
Cool. I'm gonna play this video. I haven't seen it, so. Oh, Jesus. What is instrument flying? So here is a blindfold race, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what we're doing. We're flying with our eyes closed. Pretty crazy. But flying by instruments, most of it's going to be sight. So you are looking at your instruments. Like your eyes are going to be very important. I see why you're making that face, and I'll get there. I'll get there.
You got taste.
Hearing,
Yeah, exactly.
hearing the engine, right? Hearing the comms, listening to what ATC is telling you to do. That's a big part of it. Smell. So maybe you smell something wrong, like with the engine. You smell smoke. You smell some sort of fumes or something like that. That can tell you when something's wrong. If you do have a fire, right, and you're in IMC, you're not gonna see the smoke on the outside of the plane, you're gonna smell it. Touch, so that's gonna be
Trim.
the touch on the controls, feeling what the plane's doing, trimming the plane, stuff like that, feel the heat if there's a fire. Taste, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Taste of victory.
The taste of victory,
and you just gotta open your
Or
mouth
does-
Yeah.
every now and again to try to.
be like, oh yeah, that's 100 low lead fuel.
Yes.
Oh my god. That's pretty much what I had in my PPO, flying 150s.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when you top the tanks up in those things for cross countries, the whole cabin would just reek of fuel, so pretty much taste it.
Yeah, exactly. There you
It's a headache.
Tastes good, man. It's good.
Okay,
Forbidding Gatorade. I'm sorry.
Really,
for
we're trying to give you
Big
hypoxia one
Gatorade.
day.
so middle ear and sinus congestion. During climbs and descents, the free gas formerly present in various body cavities expand due to the difference between pressure of the outside air, pressure of the air outside the body and air inside the body. So as we know, there's different pressure systems. Standard is 299 but as we go to different areas, that pressure might change. As we climb and descend, that pressure is going to change, right? If we go higher up, the air is less dense, pressure is lower. As we come down, it'll increase. But if you're stuffy, such as me right now, that may cause issues as you climb and descend. During the climb, the pilot or passengers are flying into lower pressure air. That means that there's relatively higher pressure air in the sinuses. Air flows from area of high pressure to low pressure so it can equalize and the pilot or passenger may feel better. If you are stuffy and you have that higher pressure air inside your body and we climb to an area of low pressure, it wants to equalize by high pressure moving to low pressure, but if you're stuffy, it cannot do that. On the descent, you are descending into higher pressure air. That means that there's relatively lower pressure air trapped in the sinuses. This lower pressure air cannot equalize with the outside air due to sinus congestion. It may cause extreme pain. So remember, high pressure wants to go to low pressure. That goes back to Bernoulli's principle. And then with weather, right, high pressure systems, low pressure systems. But the same is within our body as well as the outside air. Cool. Any questions with this? Let me know if you guys want me to wait so you can write stuff down.
I think I'm good.
You could continue.
Cool.
Yeah, you
So just a diagram of where the common pressure locations are. Our sinuses, run up and through here. If we have mucus in the sinus, inflamed sinus lining, that's what's causing the pressure. Sinus on a climb, pressure goes down, so there's room for the mucus to flow as the sinus expands. But as we descend, the pressure goes up, sinus is squeezed, and blocks the mucus flow. Sinus compresses and becomes irritated. So whenever you feel the pain or the pressure in your sinuses, it's most likely going to be on the descent when your sinuses are squeezing or compressing due to the pressure. A little tip, when you are descending, I recommend try to descend 500 feet per minute, 85 to 90 knots. That's the most comfortable descent rate. Anything with a higher descent rate or anything faster is when you start to, the pressure changes more rapidly and you can't really equalize. So slower, smoother descent will be more comfortable for your sinuses.
Corey, do you mind, if we have a passenger with us who's having sinus issues, would it be better to descend at like 100 feet a minute and just take your time, or
Um,
what would a passenger plane do in that situation?
like airlines,
Yeah,
uh,
I mean, they don't really care, cause
they would tell you to chew gum. They wouldn't care. They would tell you to chew gum.
I've heard stories of, what are the people that work in with the passengers called?
flight attendants.
Flight attendants. I've heard stories of them just trying to calm a person who's having sinus congestion during that. And
Yeah,
I mean, that's the worst feeling ever. I had that on a commercial flight one time. I thought my head was gonna explode on descent.
I'm so glad.
It was,
What
it
I-
was miserable.
what I recommend is the three things that I know of that could help: chewing gum, right? Just like that movement of your jaw and like loosening up the sinuses, yawning, and then like swallowing, like drinking water. That's helped me clear up my sinuses and that pressure. So airlines versus our planes can be a little different because you have to care, right? If you're flying with a passenger, one person, and it's your mom or whoever, you know, if they're feeling that, you have to care. So I do recommend just descending slower.
Mhm.
With that being said, you know, you may have planned it perfectly to descend at 500 feet per minute, which would get you at your altitude to land. But if you have to descend at 100 feet per minute or 200 feet per minute, maybe just circle outside the airspace and do a circling descent.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's my recommendation, so. Ear pressure, so. Normal pressure that's unblocked, you're gonna have the same pressure both in the ear canal and outside. You guys ever experienced like with the pressure, like your ears, like you kind of like lose your hearing and becomes muffled a little bit because you're so stuffy? That's because this could be blocked. Semi-blocked on a climb, so. Oh yeah, the blocked eustachian tube will slowly meet the outside pressure. So eventually it'll equalize. Now fully blocked on a descent, the pressure on the inside of the ear will be higher than the pressure on the outside. Or sorry, the pressure on the outside will be higher than the pressure on the inside. And high wants to go to low. So it might cause that ear pain by trying to force its way in. Okay, the main thing, spatial disorientation. So this is why we trust our instruments and only look at the instruments. Otherwise, spatial disorientation will happen, which refers to the lack of orientation with regard to position, attitude, or movement of the airplane in space. All very important things when flying in the clouds. We have three different systems: the vestibular system. So this is organs found in the inner ear that sense position by the way we are balanced. Our somatosensory system, which is nerves in the skin, muscles, and joints, along with hearing, sense position based on gravity, feeling, and sound. And then visual system, which could be the most important. I'll explain why. Is our eyes, which sense position based on what is seen. Instrument flying, when you're actually flying an IMC, your vestibular system and somatosensory system are going to be what's like really affected, right? How do we counteract that? With our visual system, only looking at the instruments. Don't look outside, trust the instruments. That's going to prevent all these spatial disorientations with each system from happening. In other words, you become disoriented when your sensory organs get contrary information. What you see is different than what your other senses tell you. So if you look outside, you might think you're straight and level, or your body is telling you that you're straight and level, but you could be in an unusual attitude, vice versa. So trust your instruments. Yeah, thumbs up, you guys are ready to move on.
1 sec, sorry.
No worries.
Okay, good.
So vestibular system is going to be those organs found in the ear, we have the inner ear, the middle ear, and the outer ear. Within the inner ear, we have the cochlea, which is our hearing. 3 semicircle canals, which is balance, and then we have our eardrum and the eustachian tube. Vestibular system is responsible for providing our brain with information about motion, head position, spatial orientation. It's also involved with motor functions that allow us to keep our balance, stabilize our head and body during movement, and maintain posture. There's different illusions with the vestibular system. First is going to be inversion. Anybody familiar with the acronym?
Ice flags.
ICE flags, you heard of that?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Inversion, an abrupt change from climb to straight and level flight can stimulate the otolith organs enough to create the illusion of tumbling backwards, known as the inversion illusion. So pitching down too quickly to straight and level flight can make you feel like you're tumbling backwards. So how may the pilot react to that?
Pitch down.
pitch
might
down further,
Pitch
yeah.
down even more, exactly, which could further worsen that illusion. Next of the vestibular illusion is the Coriolis illusion. This occurs when a pilot has been in a turn long enough for the fluid in the ear canal to move at the same speed of the canal. A movement in the head or movement of the head in different planes, such as looking at something in a different part of the flight deck. Example, maybe you've dropped your pen on the floor and you lean down to pick it up. You'll feel this disorientation. So being in a turn long enough for your fluid in your ears to stop moving, and then you move your head really quick, could cause this illusion. I think it kind of, maybe I'm wrong, I'm not a doctor, but like, when you're sitting down for too long and you stand up really quick, right? Your your fluid has adjusted to being in this position, and you stand up really quick, or you like look in a different direction really quick, that can cause you to kind of feel a little out of it. And that's
It's like the abrupt movement of the fluid.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, this would be like when you're in a turn for a long enough time, and then you move your head in a different direction.
And what'll it make you do again?
I think this one, so if you,
It makes you feel like so it kind of happened before, it makes you just feel like you're spinning.
yeah, I think what it could do is if you're, let's just say, in a turn to the left and you look right really quick, it might feel like you're turning right, so then you'll turn left even more. But the main thing, because there's other ones similar to it, the main thing is that it's from your head movement, your abrupt movement of your head. Next of the ice flags, elevator illusion. An abrupt vertical acceleration can occur from an updraft, can stimulate the otolith organs to create the illusion of being in a climb. So the elevator illusion, an updraft, even if you're straight level, an updraft can make you feel like you're climbing. What would be the negative impact of how pilots would respond?
Pitch down to fight it.
Pitch down to fight it.
This also occurs in downdrafts as well, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep, so an abrupt downward vertical acceleration from a downdraft has the opposite effect.
Pitch up and stall.
Exactly. Makes you feel like you're descending, so pilots would react by pitching up, and that's not the correct thing to do. So pretty much from turbulence, right? Updrafts and downdrafts from turbulence. If you're flying through clouds, you are gonna experience turbulence, especially on those puffier cumulus clouds. So this illusion is definitely something that would be very possible. You just want to be aware of that. Next one is going to be the leans. This is the most common illusion during flight and is caused by a sudden return to level flight following a gradual and prolonged turn that went unnoticed by the pilot. So if you're in a very long turn, right, your fluid in your canal will adjust to that. And then it feels like you're in straight and level flight. Maybe you went unnoticed, you lost scan of your instruments, or you fixated on one of your instruments and didn't realize you were turning. But as soon as you return to level flight, you would feel this illusion. It might feel like you are now turning in the opposite direction, so then you'll turn even further left to try to correct for it. Graveyard spiral. Like many of the other illusions, if you're in a prolonged, coordinated, constant rate turn, you may experience the illusion of not turning. During the recovery to level flight, the pilot will then experience the sensation of turning in the opposite direction, causing the disoriented pilot to return the aircraft to its original turn. So if you're making a prolonged turn to the left, you go straight level, you'll feel like you're turning to the right. So to correct for it, you turn back to the left. With this though, you lose altitude in turns unless you compensate for the loss of lift, right? Because that vertical component changes to horizontal. The pilot may notice a loss of altitude. What makes this, let's see if there's another slide now. What makes this dangerous is that to correct for it, you start to pitch back and really tighten that turn, and that turn can turn into a really, what's the right word? It'll go from like a spiral like this and get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter because you try to correct for the loss of altitude by pulling back.
Will it ever turn into a spin?
Yes, it can turn into a spin. Yeah, graveyard spiral could turn into the graveyard spin, which is no bueno. Somatographic illusion. So rapid acceleration, such as experienced during takeoff, stimulates the otolith organs the same way as tilting the head backwards. So let's just say you do a short field takeoff, you set the parking brake, full power, release the parking brake, kind of jolt back. This will create the somatographic illusion. It's going to make you feel like you're in a nose up attitude, especially with poor visual references. So how will people correct for this?
We'll pitch down.
They'll pitch down. The same can occur if you have a rapid deceleration. It might make you feel like you're going forward or descending, and how pilots will correct for it is pitching up. Any questions on the vestibular illusions?
Good.
Cool. We'll now go to the visual illusions. So we have the runway width illusion. A narrower than usual runway can create an illusion that the aircraft is at a higher altitude than it actually is. A wider than usual runway will have the opposite effect, making you feel like you're a lot lower than you actually are. So what will happen is on a narrow runway, you feel like you're higher because the runway looks further away. So you'll end up doing a lower than normal approach, which can be dangerous if there are obstacles in the way. You also run risk of kind of slamming the plane down, maybe even nose wheel first. A wider runway makes you feel a lot lower than you actually are. So how pilots will correct for it is they will level out a little sooner and they'll have a higher than normal approach. You can even overshoot the runway too if you're too high. So narrow runway, you feel high, you make a lower than normal approach. Wider runway, you feel low, you make a higher than normal approach. False horizon. So here's the F in ice flags. The right combination, or I guess the wrong combination of street lights or clouds can make a false horizon appear. Always trust your instruments. So city lights or clouds that are kind of sloping might make you feel like that's the horizon. So you try to align yourself with those lights, when in reality, you are putting yourself in an unusual attitude. So this picture right here, these lights are what they are trying to align themselves with, I guess. But then the actual horizon is like these lights are extended like this. So then I guess they're now in a turn. So don't trust the street lights or the clouds, trust your instruments. So here's an example right here. This is a good example. So these street lights right here where the city lights end, right? That looks like it would be the horizon, like it makes sense, perfectly straight line. You try to line yourself up with that, but the actual horizon is here. So in this example, if you try to line yourself up with the false horizon, these city lights, what direction turn would you be in?
Right turn.
Right turn. So we want to not rely on the city lights. Runway slope illusion. There will be runways that you land on. Catalina is a big one. I think Palomar is even a little sloped. Anywho, an upsloping runway or even upsloping terrain or both can create the illusion that the aircraft is at a higher attitude than it actually is. The pilot who does not recognize this illusion will fly a lower approach, potentially running the risk of slamming down or even landing before the runway. A downsloping runway or downsloping terrain can have the opposite effect. So when the runway is sloping up, makes the illusion that you're at a higher altitude than it actually is. When it's sloping down, it makes you feel like you're at a lower altitude than you actually are.
And that's just because of sight picture, yeah.
Because of sight picture, yeah.
Because like when it's like up and you're going for your aiming point, you feel like you're further away from it,
Yes.
and so you'll fly lower. And when
Yeah.
it's like this, you feel like you're closer to it because it's more towards you.
Yeah.
And then you'll fly.
And remember, it's not gonna be like super exaggerated, right? It's gonna be barely anything, but a little bit of difference in the sight picture can make you feel like you're either high or low.
So was it an upsloping runway that makes it feel like you're higher?
Yes. Like to say.
Fallbrook is also another great example.
And then you
Yeah.
fly,
Fallbrook sucks.
then you fly lower, right? So if you feel like you're higher, you're fly lower. Or an upsloping runway.
Yes. Well, just say we're coming in to land, right, this direction on an upsloping runway, right? It's gonna be more space. Look like there's more space in between you and the runway, so you make a lower approach. When you're coming this way on a downsloping runway, you're gonna feel like you're a lot lower than you actually are, so you make a higher approach and you might overshoot that runway.
Okay.
Featureless terrain, so in absence of surrounding ground features, maybe an over the water approach over a darkened area, or terrain made featureless by snow. Featureless meaning there's not a lot of detail or texture to it. It can create an illusion that the aircraft is at a higher altitude than it actually is. This illusion is sometimes referred to as the black hole approach, causes pilots to fly lower than is desired. So yeah, if you're flying over water, over mountains, or in a dark area, can't really tell how high you are if you can't see the ground. It just looks never ending, right? It literally looks like a black hole. So you'll think you're really high, you'll come in lower, that can be really dangerous. Rely on your instruments, trust your altitude, be familiar with the airport elevation, terrain elevation, things like that. Water refraction. So rain on the windscreen can create the illusion of being at a higher altitude due to the horizon appearing lower than it is. This could result in the pilot flying a lower approach. Not only rain on the windscreen, but also like here's the example of the somewhere like in the desert, or I don't know where this is, beach maybe. But you see how like the water's like refracting like that. That can make you feel like you're the horizon's lower. And result in the pilot flying a lower approach. I haven't really experienced this one. But the other ones I've experienced, so.
Wait,
Haze,
can we go back to them?
yeah.
You get a higher altitude. To horizon.
We don't really fly in too rainy conditions, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's do 2 more slides and we'll take a break. Haze, fog, and lighting. So haze, atmospheric haze, can create an illusion of being at a greater distance and height from the runway. Objects might also appear further, so other traffic or terrain might appear further, and that's because you have the haze obstructing your view. When would we notice haze? What type of pressure, high or low?
Hi.
High pressure. Fog, flying in the fog can create the illusion of pitching up. To be honest, I'm not quite sure why. But obviously fog obstructs your view. It's hard to, see outside. We don't fly into fog, right now because we can fly into haze, but because of the whole IMC certification thing, we can't do that. Ground lighting, lights along a straight path such as a road or lights moving on trains can be mistaken for runway and approach lights. Bright runway and approach lighting systems, especially where there's 2 lights illuminating the surrounding terrain, can create the illusion of less distance to the runway. At airports that has pilot controlled lighting, or we can ask ATC to adjust the lighting. If it's really dark surrounding area, Hemet's a good example. If you fly there at night, not too many lights around it, but 7 clicks of the push to talk can make the brightness of the runway really bright, making it difficult to see. We're also giving you that illusion of less distance to the runway. And then here's the main illusions, ice flags. Only one that wasn't in there was autokinesis. Can anybody tell me what that is?
Dancing lights,
What's up?
dancing lights.
Yeah, you look at a stationary light for too long and it appears to be moving. So it could be a star. You're trying to follow a star, right? Maybe that's your navigation, the North Star or something, and then
The north.
it appears to start moving and you start to turn with it and follow it and it takes you off course. Good?
Good. Back.
Cool. Let's take a 10-minute break.
You want me to show you the cool Zoom link and everything, in Discord?
Yeah.
Open the
So is it like set Zoom link for ground school?
It's gonna be it's gonna be a set link for the ground school that's connected to a student hub website. That'll give you access to everything you.
Oh, I've seen the student hub. I've seen the student hub website.
Cool.
For some reason, whenever I try to do my rating selection here, it doesn't work.
I'd ask,
Well, I asked Aaron or something.
you should be able to ask, in one of the. Not in the request on facilities. Where would it be resources? No, they don't have anything to help with that there. Nope, they don't have anything to assist with that in the Discord. But yeah. You were right about resources, the SPA hub.
Okay.
So. Should be. Okay. You gotta get the rating selection in first and then it'll show up.
Yeah, so I selected it, but it's maybe it just needs some time because it's staying selected now. So I'll figure it out today.
Wait, go to the Discord one more time. Open up, scroll down. You are an IFR students. You're probably gonna have to go and request also to be marked under PPL. Cause I don't know why resources is showing up under one of the accessible tabs for you. So you could also ask Aaron to see if they can get you in contact with the Torrance location. Cause they're the only ones that are able to mess around with Discord.
Got it.
But yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'll figure it out.
When you do get it, it's in the resources tab, which is going to be in
Yeah, I used to
the
have-
first one,
I used to have it there. I saw it. I don't know why it's.
SPA hub. And then it'll be in the student hub and the SPA hub. You want to go to the Ground School information tab. I can send you this link as well. I can airdrop it to you right now.
Yeah, that'd be nice because I did have that. Cause I've been through there. I've gone through the resources. I've seen all the tabs.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
links. Because I've used it before. So I don't know why I'm not getting it anymore. But
So go on ahead and turn on your airdrop and I'll send you one.
How do you join the IFR on Discord?
Should be. I'll help you with that.
You just select it, yeah.
If you, oh, there you go. Another way you could do it is just scroll from the top right. Go here, hold airdrop, and then there is a way to do it. You'll be doing the airdrop a lot here.
yeah.
It's so helpful.
All right. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Cool. And then,
Thank you.
yeah. If you go to information rating selection.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can select both PPL and FR.
It only lets me select one.
Just select IFR then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there you go. You're in. All that matters is that you're in all call KSEE.
What up?
What's up?
God. Yeah. I'm tired.
Oh, yeah. The student is taking his, just started his check, starting his check right now.
Oh, really? For which one?
Instrument,
Nice.
yeah. My fifth check ride sign off.
Nice. Nice. Did the check ride jitters ever go away?
As a student, they never did, and as an instructor, they're even worse, so,
Yes,
Yeah.
that's accurate.
yeah. I'll be doing my multi on June 24th.
Nice.
So I'm trying to get back into the student mindset and find time to study and, yeah,
Just for a multi-rated or a commercial multi or?
yeah, commercial multi, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, how, you've been teaching here, how long, like, about a year?
Coming up on a year, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Yeah, like 9 months, so.
Ugh. Sweet, dude.
Yeah, you better pass though. Gotta keep that 100% success rate.
I feel like most students here who at least give effort pass.
Yeah, he's solid, so.
Like you probably only ever worried about someone if they, like you just kind of tell they're not giving effort. You know,
Yeah.
you can struggle, you can have areas where you're deficient in, but you know, if they're like, okay, well, I need help. And
Yeah.
you just at least try to figure it out.
What I've noticed is. So when I went through training, I didn't have any. Check ride failures,
Mhm.
and I've learned that. The instructor teaches you, regardless of if it's different from how other instructors do it, the instructor teaches you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
If you fail the ground, it's because you didn't put in the effort, because the ground stuff is really upon you. And then if you fail something during the flight, it's because you truly just made a mistake. The shin is solid, so I'm not really worried about the check ride itself. As an instructor, I get worried about the qualification portion of the beginning. Logbook stuff, endorsements, meeting the requirements, because that's. If he doesn't get qualified, that's because it's on me and we've messed up something administratively on the way, so that's what I get nervous for the most. Once I realize, once they don't come grab me and I realize they're in the check ride for more than 20-30 minutes, I know it's kind of started and it's
Yeah.
good, so.
Heard from Carlos, the likes of the grounds from her normally.
Yeah, she's pretty gnarly, so.
Jeez.
She's
Who's
super
he dealing
nice.
with? Julie. She's super nice and everybody used to be scared of her back when I was a student. Yeah, she's a really nice lady and just very thorough, very fair, but very thorough. So
Oh, man.
Your issue is, I heard from Carlos, the grounds are like 5 hours long.
they can get that.
And I feel like 5 hours, you can make at least 3 mistakes.
Yeah.
So you can make more than 3 mistakes. It's like a 70% thing.
I thought when you had a BPL class.
Great, feeling really optimistic for the future.
That's just the girl DPs though, just don't get a girl.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, knowing my life.
Yeah.
yeah, for the DPE.
For religious reasons, I can't go with a girl.
Just,
That's all it is.
I had a female DP for my private, but she was pretty good. And also because she was my boss anyways. So,
Yeah, it's even better.
yeah.
You're supposed
She was scary though. She was scary. She's nice, but she's scary.
That's what I feel about Julie. She was really nice, but intimidating.
Yeah. Like my old boss, who, I worked at CP Aviation. And Judy was one of the owners and the DP. She's really nice, but she's been flying for like 40 years.
Yeah,
And she's a master CFI,
yeah.
Gold Seal, all that stuff. Like she's like an encyclopedia for flying. And when he messed up, she's like telling me something like, "Oh God,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know me."
It's crazy. All right, ready? Try to get through this PowerPoint in the next 40 minutes. Any questions so far?
Good.
Everything resonating with you?
Yeah.
As much as you can.
Raise your hand if you don't understand anything. Raise your hand if you understand everything so far. Better see a fight.
7. I'll just throw it up there for either or.
Okay. So pitch control, controlling of the airplane's pitch attitude about the lateral axis using the elevator to raise or lower the nose in relation to the horizon or to the airplane's flight instrumentation. We have a few different pitch control instruments that can be used to aid in pitch. First being the airspeed indicator, so decreasing airspeeds may indicate a climb, increasing airspeeds may indicate a descent. Attitude indicator indicates the angles of climbs and descents. Altimeter indicates changes in altitude, and vertical speed indicator indicates the rate of climbs and descents in feet per minute. So pretty straightforward, right? Everything same as pilot flying. This is obviously a 6-pack, so location on our G3X is gonna be a little different, but still shows all the same indications. Bank. So bank control is gonna be around the longitudinal axis by the use of ailerons. Different bank control instruments that are gonna help you include the attitude indicator, so it indicates an angle of bank. The turn coordinator indicates the rate of bank, and the heading indicator indicates changes in heading. It's important for us to know all this, even though it's pretty basic. Just understand, when we make a control input, what instruments should we see and expect to change? And if we don't see that changing, or we see an indication that's not related to the maneuver we're doing, then you know something might be wrong. Power control. Power control must be related to its effect on altitude and airspeed. Since any change in power setting result in change in the airspeed or the altitude of the airplane. Different instruments that can aid us. That's supposed to say in power control. Tachometer, so that's what's indicating the RPM of the engine. You increase power. Straight on the flight, the RPM should go up. You decrease the power, the RPM should go down. Manifold pressure indicates allowed power of the engine based on airflow. Airspeed indicator indicates thrust amount for climb and descent. So as we change RPMs or the throttle setting, we'll see changes in our RPMs, manifold pressure, and our airspeed. Once we factor in inclines and descents without making power changes, we'll also see changes in altitude, changes in airspeed, and our RPMs increasing on a descent or decreasing on a climb.
Would manifold only be for planes that use mixture control?
We
have a manifold.
Yeah, we should have a manifold, let's see.
I thought manifold pressure was for constant speed or variable pitch propeller.
We have
Uh,
manifold pressure gauge.
I flew six back, so you know, it's I'm doing luxury stuff now. G3.
That's gonna help you a lot in the future.
Isn't it the like manifold
Constant
intake,
emission.
like
G3.
Yeah.
on like the top left? That one.
You're gonna play TAA and be like, whoa.
Everybody see this?
Yeah,
Yes.
Manifold intake right here.
Okay.
so that's mostly just going to tell us how much air is getting into the engine or tell us if something's.
Pretty much the pressure of the air. But to go off what you said, yes, in aircraft with constant speed propellers, we'll have the RPM, we'll have, or the throttle, we'll have the prop, and we'll have the mixture, right?
Right.
Mixture obviously for, you know, controlling the fuel air ratio.
Mhm.
The RPM or the throttle is what's gonna change the manifold, and then the prop is what's gonna change the RPMs. So on a constant speed propeller, yes, we control those things through the use of the throttle and the prop lever. But in ours, everything is automatic. We don't have a mixture. We don't have constant speed prop. So it's just throttle for RPMs and then.
These are fuel injected engines, right?
Yes.
Tell you guys, it's gonna be flying like a Rolls Royce now.
I know.
No carb heat. What the fuck am I gonna do?
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of free time. Trim. So trim relieves the pressure on the controls, for pitch. How tense, or over controlling the airplane through the use of the trim. An improperly trimmed airplane requires constant flight control pressure from the pilot, produces tension or fatigue, and distracts the pilot from outside visual scanning. Contributes to abrupt and erratic airplane attitude control inputs. So if you're really nose down trimmed, you're having to hold that back pressure. If you release the controls, it's gonna pitch down, and how you correct for it is to pitch back. Those abrupt movements, we don't want that. So proper trim is very important. Our trim tab is gonna be, when standing behind the plane looking at it, it's gonna be on our left elevator, the left side of the elevator. We don't have a wheel, we have electronic trim. So
Beautiful.
if we lose a battery, we lose trim.
Oh.
But we have electronic, it's right on the joystick, so pretty good.
Why would a plane have rudder and aileron trim? You could only think of it for like a multi.
So on different Cessnas, like Cessna 182, that has rudder trim. And that's because the more powerful it is, the more those left turning tendencies might come into play. So there's rudder trim to help.
So it's just to fight torque mostly.
Yeah,
It could
different.
be, and it could be like certain yawing tendencies.
Yeah,
of the plane because
the
each plane's
yaw.
individual. Like in the 150s I was flying, the 150s actually had rudder trim. It wasn't adjustable from the cockpit, but it's something that the mechanics would. It's like a little thin piece. It's not like how rudder trim.
You'll notice that on some of our slings for the ailerons, like some planes, 3-2 Alpha rolls in one direction, you'll see aileron trim on one side. And all I do is pretty much just kind of bend it and adjust it, so,
It's pretty funny, yeah.
yeah.
Crazy.
Key to success with instrument flying begins with good habits with trimming, because you'll be able to maintain altitude more easily. My PPL instructor taught me lazy flying is good flying. If you can trim the airplane, you should be able to fly with one finger, right? Just controlling that left and right movement. It makes the flying a lot easier, decreases that workload of trying to manage your altitude or whatnot. Just remember, climbs and descents, pitch, power, trim. So pitch for your desired pitch, power, and then trim for that specific airspeed. So cool.
Cool.
Basic instrument flying. So the fundamental skills of instrument flying are the instrument cross-check, instrument interpretation, aircraft control. So you keep your scan going of the instruments, you interpret what those instruments are telling you, and then you control the airplane. Smooth and small corrections. If you notice that you're starting to climb, right, based off what your instruments are telling you, control the aircraft to not climb. Just make sure you make smooth and small corrections. The slings are very touchy. We don't want to be making abrupt movements when instrument flying. First fundamental skill, cross-checking, is also called scanning. Scanning is a continuous and logical observation of instruments for attitude and performance information. Pilots can make their own scan using some tried and tested methods like radial cross-check, inverted V, and rectangle cross-check. I'm going to, after we go through these, I'm going to tell you our version, my version of how we do it in the sling on the G3X. So inverted V is starting from the attitude indicator, and I guess working to our turn coordinator, back up to our attitude, down to our vertical speed. When you're making this motion, it also allows you to have your eyes kind of on all these surrounding instruments as well. Which method did you use? Like, I know you didn't do instrument really on the 150, but how do you scan your instruments?
Honestly,
I know everything should be visual,
it's
but
like, yeah, I'm trying to remember because I got my PPL in February. We did. I think it was more like the V,
okay,
sort of like just central and just check.
yeah,
Main thing was attitude indicator, and then just check everything else. Check something else, back to attitude. Check vertical speed, back to attitude. Airspeed, back to attitude. That's the way we do it.
okay, cool. Another one is the rectangle cross check. So start from the attitude indicator, you just simply work your way around in a rectangle. It never fucking works. Radial cross check. So you start from your attitude indicator, and this I would say is probably the closest one to the one we'll do on the G3X. Start at the attitude indicator and then scan, next instrument, back to attitude, scan, and so on.
So that's cool.
Okay, cool. So, okay, they kind of have it. I'm going to. I won't draw it out, I'll save us time. So let's just say, here's our G3X, right? This is gonna be on the left part of the G3X. This is our primary flight display. I like to use a method, or what you can call this is like the spoke scan or the spoke and wheel or spoke and tire. Think of a tire or the hub and spoke, I guess is what I like to call it. So think of a bike tire. Here's our hub, right? And then we have spokes going off like this, right? Make sense? Everybody seen a bike tire before?
No, I've never seen it.
Okay.
No, never seen it.
Do you know what a bike is?
No,
Oh, okay.
I have one at home. I don't know what it is.
Okay, fair enough. So on a bike tire, the hub is in the middle, right? And the spokes go out. And then it comes, you could go back to the hub, out, back to the hub, and so on. So with this method, your attitude indicator is the center of your scan. From here, you can go to the left like a spoke to the airspeed, back to the center, down to the HSI and CDI, back to the center, down to your turn coordinator, back to the center, over to attitude or altitude, VSI, engine instruments will be on the other side, And then you could also factor in your GPS information, autopilot information up here. I like to refer to the GPS information at the top that shows your distance, like the scoreboard. You go to a sports game, scoreboard is up high and shows, the score numbers. GPS can do the same thing. So essentially all you're doing is starting at the attitude indicator and just down to each instrument, back to the center. Next instrument, back to the center. Next instrument, back to the center.
So it's kind of like the radial cross check, but just for the G3X, just in different.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah.
And you just always look back at the attitude indicators. So you go attitude to, heading, back to attitude to altimeter.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. I've never seen the G3X with round gauges. Maybe that's a setting you can turn on, but it's not oriented this way. But this would be sort of same thing. Start the attitude indicator, check each instrument back to center, onto the next, back to center, so on. So that's the instrument cross check. Any questions on that? I don't know if the PowerPoint will get into it, but very important things with instrument flying is keeping your scan going, meaning don't fixate on one instrument. As soon as you fixate on one instrument, even if it's only for a second or two, you'll lose altitude, you lose your airspeed, whatever it may be, you'll really deviate. So keeping your scan going, not fixating, only looking at each instrument for a brief second before moving on to the next is what's going to keep you within standards, altitude, heading, course, airspeed. Don't fixate. With that being said, also don't get distracted. If you're going through your checklist, right, don't fixate on the checklist and be looking down as you're flying. If you look outside, which you should be for instrument flying, or if you're inputting something in your GPS, don't fixate on that. One thing at a time. One checklist item, back your instruments. Checklist, back your instruments. So don't ever fixate. Instrument interpretation, which is the second skill of instrument flying, requires more thorough study and analysis. It begins by understanding each instrument's construction and operating principles. Then this knowledge must be applied to the performance of the aircraft being flown, particular maneuvers being executed, cross-check and control techniques that are applicable to the aircraft and flight conditions. So an example, okay, why? This is our example. So our airspeed is decreasing. Altitude appears to be increasing. Our attitude indicator is indicating a turn to the left. Turn coordinators indicating a turn with maybe improper rudder usage.
Too much left rudder.
Too much left rudder. HO size in spinning to the right. Vertical speed is going to the right. So what attitude are we in? What direction turn are we making?
So nose up, left turn.
Nose up, left turn. So all these are just
Skidding.
parts of the equation that add up to the overall, attitude of the aircraft.
It's like having supporting instruments too.
Exactly. Control of performance method. So aircraft performance accomplished by controlling the aircraft attitude power input. So how you want the aircraft to perform is based off of how you control it. Aircraft attitude is the relationship of its longitudinal and lateral axis to the Earth's horizon. When in IFR conditions, the pilot controls the attitude of the aircraft by referencing the flight instruments and manipulating the power output of the engine to achieve whatever desired performance. The instrumentation can be broken up into three different categories: control, performance, and navigation. You control the plane by setting power and attitude. You verify that you're getting the results by checking the airspeed, altimeter, heading. Maybe even VSI would be in there. You can then use the info to verify your navigation with your navigation equipment. So control, performance, navigation are the three categories that the instruments can be broken up into.
When is your news check, Greg? Thought it was today.
Shouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right now.
It is today.
Yes, right now as we speak.
Here?
Yep. All right, good to move on.
1 sec.
Who's got moved then?
Devin,
Is that also a new student or no?
no. But
It got moved again for him.
geographically, it's today, but last minute this morning, DP was like, yeah, come up to Palomar.
Oh,
Yeah. All right,
How
don't,
far is that drive? Like, you know,
About an
40?
hour.
I think he's a plane up there. So he's just gonna fly,
Oh,
Oh, true.
then have to pay for that out of pocket, you know. You.
Straight line.
That's kind of dumb.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna try to speed it up just a tad to make sure we get through it. I'm not sure if we will. Okay, but control. Control instruments depict immediate attitude and power changes. The instrument for attitude display is the attitude indicator. Power changes are directly reflected on the manifold pressure gauge and the tachometer. So as we change our throttle, manifold pressure and tachometer will change. All three of these instruments can reflect small adjustments, allowing for precise control of the aircraft. The control instruments do not indicate how fast the aircraft is flying or at what altitude it's flying. In order to determine these variables, you need to refer to the attitude indicator, manifold pressure gauge, tachometer. So here's an example. Right here, we have a 10-degree pitch. So there's that pitch. Also maybe a slight bank. Manifold is 30 inches, tachometer is 5,500 RPMs. So this is just what these are showing. Attitude, manifold, tachometer for control. Performance, so this reflects the performance of the aircraft and what it's achieving. Speed of the aircraft can be referenced by the airspeed indicator, altitude referenced by the altimeter, climb performance, or I guess descent performance is determined by the reference to the VSI, vertical speed indicator. So performance, airspeed indicator, altimeter, heading indicator, slip skid indicator, and their VSI. So here's an example on a climb out. 72 knots on the airspeed, altitude's going up, heading is steady, turn coordinator is centered. Performance instruments. I really like how they have this worded or organized. Lastly, navigation, pretty straightforward. That's going to be GPS, VOR, or localizer and glide slope. Most common, which you'll use on a daily basis, is going to be the Jeep right now is the GPS and VOR. For Ethan, we've started doing approaches, so you're going to factor in the localizer and glide slope.
are these GPSs, they're IFR GPS, right? In the sling, like do they have WAS?
They do have WAS, yes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah, so we can shoot all those like LPV and
Nice.
RNAV approaches. Okay, so kind of what you mentioned earlier, primary and supporting instruments. So this is the second method for performing attitude instrument flight, and it's a direct extension of the control/power method. By utilizing the primary and supporting flight instruments in conjunction with the control and power instruments, the pilot can precisely maintain aircraft attitude. This method utilizes the same instruments as the control/power method, however, it focuses more on the instruments that depict the most accurate indication for the aspect of the aircraft attitude being controlled. So primary pitch will be our altimeter, primary bank, heading indicator, supporting pitch and bank, attitude indicator, supporting bank, turn coordinator, supporting pitch, VSI. We have a primary and secondary or support instruments. Good.
I'm surprised the attitude indicator isn't like a primary one. I feel like that's a
Yeah,
important.
it is a surprise to me too, because the pitot and static port blockages, could show false indications.
Yeah, that's something I never understood. When I was doing my ground school and practice tests and stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
no
I
idea.
can't tell you why the attitude indicator isn't the primary. But it isn't. So,
It's interesting.
Interesting.
yeah. Okay, here's a large chart.
Oh, Jesus. Well,
If you want to take a picture, I'm not gonna read this off to you, but basically it gives different types of flight. So straight and level with the speed change, starting a climb and descent, climbs, descents, constant speed, constant descents, constant rate, starting a turn and turns. And it talks about whether each of the instruments are primary or supporting. And then for what maneuver, pitch or power or bank.
Would you say you have this chart memorized, or is this
No.
intuitive?
No, this
alright.
will never be memorized. If you can, good on you. But if you ask me right now, what is power during a straight and level flight? I'll be honest, I couldn't tell you. Let me guess, supporting, straight and level. Gee, I don't even know. Oh, okay, I guess tachometer supporting, I was kind of right, but yeah. Constant rate climbs. This is when you maintain a constant rate on the vertical speed indicator to desired cruise altitude. Should be noted that pilots should not let their airspeed decay to stall or near stall speeds when performing constant rate climbs. If the aircraft cannot maintain a constant rate and safe airspeed simultaneously, then the angle of attack should be decreased to help with the aircraft's airspeed. Additional power application may also serve to help increase airspeed when necessary. So, what would be a reason? Let's just say on the climb out, we maintain 800 feet per minute. We take off, we're at 800 feet per minute climb. Why? Well, one, could we maintain 800 feet per minute climb to 8,000 feet?
No.
Why?
That's
Make it worse.
Density altitude. So if we try to maintain 800 feet per minute until 8,000 feet, what's going to happen to our airspeed?
It's gonna slow down,
And then what will probably happen?
stall.
Stall. So obviously when we're hand flying, just decrease that angle of attack, right? When using autopilot, this is something very, very, very important that I want you to make note of. When using autopilot for climbs and descents, there's gonna be two different modes or two different functions. You're gonna have VS, which stands for vertical speed, and IAS, indicated airspeed. For a climb, which do you think would be better to use?
Indicated airspeed.
Yes, because if you put vertical speed, 500, 600 feet per minute, eventually it's not gonna be able to do 500 or 600 feet per minute.
And then you kind of
But it's
forget about
gonna
it because you're doing other stuff.
Keep pitching up and keep trying to hold that 500 feet per minute and put you into a stall. So always indicated airspeed for a climb, vertical speed for a descent. The autopilot in a climb, if it can't, hold 80 knots at a certain pitch, as you get higher up, it'll decrease the pitch automatically to keep holding that 80 knots. Constant rate climbs, more on that. So the main instrument the pilot will use to accomplish constant rate climb is the vertical speed indicator. So assuming you want to climb at 500 feet per minute. If a pilot slows down to the target rates during the climb, they must increase the aircraft's pitch attitude and most likely power to increase the climb rate. If the climb rate increases above the target rate of climb, the pilot must decrease the aircraft's pitch attitude to decrease the climb rate. One thing in here I don't like is the increase in power. If you're climbing, you're full power.
Yeah, that doesn't. Makes no
Leave the
sense.
power full and you're just adjusting pitch. So if those RPMs start to go to 5,500, what are we doing? Pitch up, don't decrease that power. Constant rate descents. This is probably gonna be one of the more important ones because we want 500 feet per minute, 90 knots, most comfortable, best for instrument flying, especially when you're doing approaches. Main instrument you'll use is the vertical speed indicator. So if we want to descend at 500 feet per minute, if the pilot decreases the target rate during the descent, they must lower the aircraft's pitch attitude to increase the descent rate, and vice versa. If our descent rate is more than 500 feet per minute, we have to increase the pitch attitude to decrease that rate.
So you basically set your power and you just adjust pitch to get your rate and then you trim it for that.
Yeah, and you'll probably have to make power adjustments, right? So like if we're trying to
Yeah.
do 90 knots, 500 feet per minute, we set our pitch for 500 feet per minute, but we're only 85 knots. Probably want to add a little bit of power. And you'll probably have to bring that pitch up a little more to maintain 500 feet per minute. So they'll be working hand in hand, pitch and power. So constant rate climbs and descents. Constant rate climbs and descents refers to your feet per minute that you're maintaining during the climb and descent. So set attitude, set power, check airspeed, just pitch. Descent, set attitude, set power, check airspeed, adjust pitch, aka pitch, power, trim. Climbs and descents, pitch, power, trim. Good?
Good.
So next, you're gonna have constant airspeed climbs and descents. So this is when you want to maintain a constant airspeed to the cruise altitude. Typically, when you are attempting to fly at VX, which for us is 65, to clear obstacles in the flight path, or VY, that's rate of climb, 72. When attempting to reach the desired cruise altitude in the least amount of time. Main instruments you'll use for a constant airspeed climb is the airspeed indicator. Assuming we like to accomplish a constant airspeed climb at VY, and that VY for the particular aircraft we're flying is 72 knots. I don't know why they would not use our aircraft. If a pilot slows below the target airspeed, they must lower the pitch of the aircraft to increase airspeed. If you're climbing above the target airspeed of 72 knots, you must increase the pitch to decrease the airspeed. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. I'm sure, Ethan, since you're my victim every day, you've heard me say it. Understanding the relationship between airspeed and altitude is very, very, very important. If you can understand like what's going to happen to your airspeed if you pitch up and what's going to happen to your airspeed if you pitch down, that'll save you a lot of time with having to make too many power adjustments and just doing back and forth with the controls. So if, let's just say you're doing steep turns, right, and you have your power set for 90 knots and you're doing your steep turn, this is for PPL and commercial, but you're doing your steep turn and you notice your airspeed's getting fast and you're starting to descend, right? What do? Do we decrease the power? No, just
Pull back.
pitch up, right?
Yeah.
Because then that's gonna get your altitude back and that's gonna get your airspeed back. So understanding that relationship is very, very important. Pitch and power and airspeed and altitude. More on constant airspeed descents. Or, yeah, this is constant airspeed descents. Main instrument you'll use is your airspeed indicator. Assuming we want to descend at 72 knots. If you get slow below the 72 knots during the climb, you have. Why is Jesus Christ? Okay, let me figure out how I'm gonna word this because it's wrong. If you slow down below 72 knots during a descent, you must lower the pitch to speed back up to 72. If you're descending and you're faster than 72 knots, you pitch up a little bit to slow us down back to 72.
Yeah, because on a constant airspeed descent, you're basically just set your descent power and then you just use pitch.
Exactly. So keep in mind though, everybody know what the region of reverse command is? Yeah?
What?
Region of reverse command. You've never heard of this here?
No.
I've heard of it, but I can't repeat.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So in cruise, first let me preface with pitch and power, you're gonna use both all the time. It's never one or the other. You're always using both together. Cruise flight, power for airspeed, pitch for altitude,
Oh, well, I knew those, I just didn't
Okay,
know.
right? So
I
that's
didn't know
that.
I didn't know that was what it was called.
No, so that's not called that.
Oh, it's
That's
not?
Slow
normal.
flight, isn't it?
Cruise flight, pitch for altitude, power for airspeed.
Yeah, right.
Region of reverse command,
Okay.
AKA slow flight and coming in on an approach, it's gonna be the opposite, right? So if you have full flaps, you apply full power, you're gonna climb. So it's the opposite, power for altitude,
Yeah.
pitch for airspeed,
Oh,
but you're gonna be using both. So that's called the region of reverse command.
That's the actual terminology.
Yeah,
yeah, I've never heard that.
Never heard the real
Phrase.
terminology. Yeah.
I've obviously used power for altitude. It's the same because I fly tail wheels, so like.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's what it's called, but it's just the opposite of what we normally do in cruise flight. Airspeed changes in straight level flight. Straight level flight in which heading altitude are constantly maintained. Four fundamentals, or in essence, a derivation of straight level flight. Is that even a word?
No, I don't think so. Derivation.
Well, it's like derive,
Yeah,
derivation, like it's, yeah, it is a word.
so as such, the need to form proper and effective skills in flying straight level should not be understated. Precise mastery of straight level flight is a result of repetition and effective practice. Straight level unaccelerated flight is accomplished when thrust equals drag and lift equals weight. If an airspeed's lift were to become greater than its weight, the airspeed would climb. Vice versa, if weight becomes greater than lift, you would descend. In airspeed's thrust were to become greater than drag, you would accelerate. And if drag is becoming greater than thrust, you would decelerate. Pretty straightforward. Oh, it's time. Didn't realize it was 9:03. We will continue this tomorrow,
How much is there?
like 10 slides maybe. Yeah, so we'll do that tomorrow. No more icebreakers tomorrow, so
There's no more PPL ground, right?
no.
No students.
Huh?
There's no students.
No PPL students, yeah.
Crazy. Corey, quick question for you.
Yes.
Can the sling do a far approach?